This is Lady Tapa, and you're listening to Interactive Wrestling Radio. Woo-hoo!
Interactive Wrestling
Okay, we'll start recording in 5, 4, 3, 2. And welcome everybody to another edition of Wrestling. Sorry, I screwed that up. All right. 5, 4, 3, 2. Welcome everybody to another edition of Interactive Wrestling Radio here at WrestlingEpicenter.com. I am Patrick Kelly, being joined by Nick Knoll. And this will be our WrestleMania preview show, as we have WrestleMania 29 occurring this weekend. And Nick, you and I have a lot to cover. How you doing, man?
I am good. We're actually hopefully we're doing the show on a Tuesday night instead of our usual Friday night taping, and part of that is we want to get it up before WrestleMania takes place.
Right, exactly. Yeah, WrestleMania 29 is this weekend, and I don't know if I've said this on the show. Maybe I have. I don't know. My memory's a little bad, but I'm actually going to be going up to New York and New Jersey this weekend, spending the weekend up there, and I am going to both Supercard of Honor 9 and WrestleMania 29. So I've got a lot to look forward to this weekend.
Patrick, unfortunately, with your luck when it comes to buying Ring of Honor pay-per-views, there's a very good chance the ring will collapse.
I know. It seems like every time I attend the Ring of Honor, every time I order one of the pay-per-views, the whole thing just crashes, and I never actually get to watch the show in real time. And yeah, if I go there in person, the plague might happen or something.
You might go there in person, and you know what? Charlie Hawk might come back.
Yeah, I was actually disappointed, and I guess we'll go into that first. I was really disappointed when I heard that story, because I thought, I kind of wanted to see Charlie Hawk and Shelton Benjamin. It's like, well, there you go, right there. I'm going to a show, and one of their big matches gets canceled.
Yeah, we need to talk about this one, ladies and gentlemen, because it is one of those stories that only pro wrestling seems to give us. This past Saturday at Ring of Honor's, I guess they, for some reason, dubbed the event War. War DVD taping. There was a situation in which Charlie Haas showed up inebriated. He got into an argument with Grizzly Redwood, who I guess he's had problems with in the past. He then, went out to the ring after insulting Nigel McGuinness, Kevin Kelly, and Delirious under John Stone, who's the booker. And he also then announced his retirement. Wrestled while inebriated. Yes, not a Sting Jeff Hardy situation, a actual match where he hit some moves on the guy. So thank God the poor guy wasn't injured. I think his name was like Jeremy Lewis or whatever. It was some local guy that was brought in, I guess, to do a job, and Charlie convinced them to let this guy go over, and Haas then proceeded to scream into the crowd when they wouldn't give a microphone back.
It sounds like he received the Lord. It sounds like he went into tongues almost. It's just, I was reading the story, and it almost sounded like an angle, because I'm like, really? This actually happened?
It did. That was the original belief a lot of people had, that he had, that it was an angle. And from what I'm understanding is that a lot of it kind of, I guess, comes down to Charlie's mindset versus the Ring of Honor mindset, where Charlie had, I guess, kind of the WWE mindset of, I'm the star, I'm the veteran, I get a certain amount of authority back here, and Ring of Honor, I guess, for the most part, has never really run like that, where it's more of a traditional independent company where everyone's on the same level and you're working your way up, so you have to help one another. I have to assume that there's a lot more to this story. I think it could also just be Charlie in general might be burned out on wrestling. I mean, this is a guy that's had a very up and down career. He's lost a lot of friends, and of course his brother Russ many years ago. And it could just be he was ready to call it a career anyway. Now this does fuck up Ring of Honor because the plan was to do at Supercard of Honor a loser must likely Ring of Honor match between he and Shelton.
So he was probably going to leave anyway, or was he supposed to go over?
Well, the rumor has been for a while that Shelton has been contacted by the WWE to go back because there's a renewed push to bring back former talent. We have not seen, I don't think Shelton has worked a Ring of Honor show since the night Charlie turned on him in a match, which is the setup for this. So all signs pointed to, Charlie going over Shelton as a heel. Now, you never know, it could have been a double turn. It could have been one of those, I don't know, maybe, who knows, maybe Charlie was quitting anyway, so it was going to be one of those, they both get fired kind of things, which I have seen happen in loser leaves down matches. But I really don't know what that was.
WrestleMania 20, Lesnar versus Goldberg. The loser leaves, the participants leave match.
Yeah, Combat Zone Wrestling, once upon a time, did a big match between Chris Hero and Eddie Kingston that was billed as their final encounter. And I guess because Kingston the heel went over, John Zanding, the owner, wanted to end it with him. Zanding hit a lariat on Kingston, kind of like so, and the fans would be happy, and Kingston was like, well, fuck that shit, I'm winning this with Hero, and you want to steal my moment. So, at the end of that, Kingston won, ending the feud, and then he rolled out before Zanding could hit the lariat on him, and Zanding's reaction was, well, fuck you, you're fired.
Oops.
Yeah. Alright, so that just kind of explains it. I do have to call Ring of Honor Elements. Apparently Charlie was drunk all afternoon, and then he was allowed to go into the ring. Goddamn, you're stupid if you let that happen. And I guess they're saying maybe they could stop him. Here's an idea. Call security who work for you. Say, don't let this guy near our ring, or hell, call Kevin Steen, Michael Ewan, and Nigel McGuinness, who are pretty big guys, have them let Charlie hot up and make sure he doesn't go into the ring. If a guy is inebriated, he has no business in the ring. And yeah, famously, we talked about this last year, Sting versus Jeff Hardy. Sting, the only one with enough sense to say, okay, if he's like this, I'm not wrestling him. We're going to have it be 48 seconds long. And all this is
Sting was the smartest person in that whole situation.
Yes, he was. And you know what? I'll say this. They're very lucky that Charlie did not seriously hurt this guy. Because if somehow...
And this was some no-name that they got?
Yeah, some no-name. And I mean, I'm not trying to insult the guy. I understand he's a very young wrestler, probably only doing it a couple of years, probably just wants to impress Ring of Honor and get a spot on the roster. But you know what? If something happens, and we've seen great wrestlers that have a reputation for not hurting people nearly cripple one another. Austin and Owen Hart. A horrible box pile driver. With, if this guy gets hurt, he's suing Sinclair Broadcasting. And if he didn't, he'd be an idiot. So, I mean, I'm sorry, there has to be a better way to go about this, You do not let a guy in the ring when he's that fucked up. Unless you absolutely feel you have to, and then you do it like TNA did it, where it's quick, and he doesn't hit anything. It's the other guy hitting one move on him, and the match is over.
Right, and I don't know if there's anything they could have done to stop Haas from going out there. I don't know. I don't know what it was like backstage, and it sounds like Haas was being belligerent. But I wouldn't have sent anybody out there to
exactly.
To run him. I'd have been like, just let him go out there, have his drunken ramble, and maybe we can pull him out of it, maybe, and we'll just try and handle it the best we can. But, yeah, man, that sounds like a really bad situation.
Exactly. I'll say again, Patrick, I have to disagree that there might have been, even if he was belligerent, call security. And if he does get out of the ring somehow, you send someone running down there, tell the ref, and the other guy get the fuck out of the ring. He's not supposed to be in there. And then you send security in, and then you fucking apologize. Unfortunately, you've got Ring of Honor.
It's funnier because that would have looked even more like a wrestling angle.
Yeah. Which, I mean, Charlie has also posted on his Twitter, I am retired. This is not an angle. People within the company are saying it's not an angle. So it does not appear to be an angle. That said, we say this, and God knows, he shows up on Sunday as the newest member of Sunday or whatever, Saturday, I assume that's when that pay-per-view is, and he's the newest member of Scum.
Yeah, which I have not followed Ring of Honor in months. Scum is like their new NWO, isn't it?
Yeah, Scum is basically what was once a hot angle with Kevin Steen, now overblown and worn out with Steve Corino, Jimmy Jacobs, the criminally misused Rhett Titus, Jimmy Ray, Domino from WWE, and Rhino, and Matt Hardy.
Holy crap. That's, yeah, it's always, there's always an NWO ripoff, or there's always an evil boss, and those are the two angles that get just pounded to death. But,
which by the way, so, good luck, Patrick, because, I mean, my advice to you, since apparently Jay Briscoe is main eventing for some reason, be ready to run, because he'll probably wind up flying into the crowd and nearly kill somebody.
I don't know where my seats are. Eric has my ticket, so I don't know where I'm going to be sitting, so hopefully it's nothing too dangerous.
Yeah. Well, you know what? If all else fails, use Eric Clancy as a shield.
Yeah. I don't know why you said that, and I immediately pictured Eric and I in riot gear coming through the crowd. Sierra Hotel, India, Echo, Lima, Delta, Shield.
Oh, God.
The new members of the Shield, Patrick Kelly and Eric Clancy.
Yeah. I don't know how expensive it all is, or all it sells good at a toy store. You need to keep something like that and sit in there and have like a sign saying Shield recruits.
Yeah. Our seats are, we actually got pretty good seats. They're up on the upper section, but we look right over the ring. So it's actually like a really good spot.
Well, good. If you're up high, odds are what will happen will be Jay will climb up by you and jump off, and he'll kill the people below you.
Yeah.
All right. So that's Ring of Honor. I got Supercard of Honor this weekend. I understand TNA's running a pretty loaded house show up there on, I think it's Friday.
Yeah, they look like they're having a pay-per-view over there. I was looking at that card like, wow, they're really bringing their A-game to that one.
Austin Aries, AJ Styles are wrestling each other, I think, I don't believe it's the first time ever. I'm convinced they had at least one match in Ring of Honor against each other. They
wrestled in Indies. Yeah, they've wrestled each other in the Indies and in Ring of Honor. I don't think they've ever had a straight-up one-on-one match in TNA, though.
No.
And again, I know they've been in some six-man tags, and some tag matches and stuff, but I don't think they've ever had a one-on-one match in TNA.
Right, and Team 3D will reunite to take on Jeff Hardy and Sting, which actually, you know what, given how well Team 3D's worked as singles and both gotten into shape, and the fact it's been a couple of years, I actually wouldn't mind seeing that match on TV.
Yeah, it actually makes sense. It makes you wonder what of those matches they're going to do on TV. I think there's also Christopher Daniels and Samoa Joe, and there's Storm versus Rude in the street fight. So I was like, wow, they're bringing a lot to this one.
And Joseph Parks is going to be there, and Robbie.
And any Joseph Park match is worth watching. I'm sorry, I just love him.
Yeah.
I don't care who he's wrestling. It's like, Joseph Park. He's one of the few guys that I will watch solely just him. Well, Joseph Park's having a match? Okay. I'm not even kidding.
I agree with you. I love the gimmick. It's absolutely, it's hilarious, and it's a testament how good a worker that guy is. I mean, one of the best worked matches last year was his match with Bully Ray.
Yeah, and it's one of those, it's like Fandango, where it's like, oh God, this gimmick's going to bomb horribly, but he's one of the more engaging characters on the show, and I'm like, oh, I want to see what this guy does. Okay.
Yep. Well, anyway, we'll get to Part 9 call later when we do our WrestleMania preview, but now, Patrick, we have to talk about one of the single most scandalous moments in the history of pro wrestling, a moment that will be remembered alongside the Montreal Screwjob, the closing of WCW, Ric Flair's infamous walkout in 1998. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm of course talking about Maddengate 2013.
Now, what exactly are the details here? Because I've only heard vague things. Apparently Stevie Richards is being asked to surrender the Extreme Rules World Heavyweight Championship over comments that he made on Twitter regarding a video game.
All right. To go back, ladies and gentlemen, we have to start a little backstory. The moronic motherfuckers known as Extreme Rising, run by Five Guys Wrestling, most notably washed-up bastard Shane Douglas, announced they were going to run WrestleMania like every other independent company in the world does. Except they waited too long to set any of the details in place, and by the time they did, nobody had enough money left over to buy tickets. Most of the good venues were booked, so the ticket sales were fucking abysmal. That probably helped by the fact that no one wants to watch a bunch of washed-up fat guys in 2013. So they
probably should have gone to Philly.
They were going to run Philly on Friday night.
Oh, I thought it was,
Yep.
I thought their show was in Staten Island.
They ran to a couple of shows, one in Staten Island and apparently one in Philly.
Oh, they were going to run more than one show. Yeah, okay, good luck with that.
Yeah. Yep. So anyway, going on, they canceled the shows. Stevie Richards, who is the current Extreme Rising heavyweight champion, posted on his Twitter a picture of the Extreme Rising belt and the latest copy of Madden, where he jokingly said, "I guess I'll defend it online since I don't have any bookings coming up." Danny Doring, who people may remember from the original ECW, who was one of the last ECW World Tag Team Champions, along with his partner Amish Roadkill, posted a picture of, in reply to Stevie, he and Stevie are very good friends, posted a picture of the ECW Tag Team title and said, "Hey, how about Defunct Promotion versus Defunct Promotion?" At which point, Extreme Rising flipped its lid and demanded that Stevie return the belt. Stevie replied, "Hey, it really seems like they're freaking out over something somebody else said." Remember, it's Doring who called it. They were upset that the promotion was called Defunct, even though it was Doring that said it, not Stevie, over something 20 people saw on Twitter. And yeah, I don't think anyone would have noticed this until they demanded Stevie return the belt.
I wouldn't have noticed it. I don't follow Stevie Richards on Twitter. I don't follow a whole lot of people on Twitter, so I'm not knocking him. So honest to God, it had, the guys at Extreme Rules not said anything about it, I wouldn't have noticed it.
Well, nobody would have. And you know what? I'm the moron who, for months on end on our Facebook page, jokingly referred to Wes Briscoe and Garrett Bischoff as fine, upstanding young men because it was so goddamn obvious they were going to join Aces and Eights. You joke around on social media. You don't take it seriously half the time. And you know what? I do follow Stevie on Twitter. I didn't notice those posts. You know what? Because they made a story out of it, that's the only reason any other websites picked it up. So yeah, way to go, Extreme Rising. You have now pretty much alienated probably the one guy that you had from the original ECW that can still work. And he's pissed off a bunch of fans because, A, you canceled a bunch of shows last second, and from some of the things I've read online on your Facebook page, you haven't issued refunds yet, despite the fact you now have more than a week to do it. And you're alienating the fans of Stevie because, hey, they screw him over. So, Shane, for years, you have bashed everybody that you ever worked for. And you were showing that you're a bigger and dumber motherfucker than any single one of them.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like the future is very bright for Extreme Rules Rising, or Extreme Rising, or whatever it's called. Yeah, it sounds like they're in a pretty bad place right now if they're canceling shows on WrestleMania weekend, which I was talking to my dad about that, and he was like, really, other wrestling shows run on WrestleMania weekend? I thought they'd stay away from the air. I was like, no. I was explaining to him, it's like, WrestleMania brings so many tourists and wrestling fans to the area that wrestling fans will go to multiple wrestling events during the weekend. So it actually turns out that they actually end up doing really good business. And the fact that they were not able to draw good crowds on WrestleMania weekend, I think, is a really bad sign.
Right. Well, also they shot themselves in the foot because apparently, from what I understand, the company is referred to as Five Guys Wrestling, like the corporate identity is Five Guys Wrestling. Just like technically TNA's corporate identity is Canada Energy, when it Jeff Jarrett owned it, it was J Sports Entertainment. WWE for years was officially Titan Sports. Five Guys Wrestling is the official, I guess, however the hell you license or get, copyright shit in this world. I have no idea how to explain it. But apparently of the five guys, only one guy actually works full-time for the wrestling company, getting the things done that need to get done, and I guess they do everything by vote. And by the time they voted to work WrestleMania weekend, it was kind of like, whoa, you really should have gotten on the ball, booked those venues and picked your spot and got your advertising going already. Because look, I mean, going through a WrestleMania weekend, you plan it, you budget it out. It's the same as going to the Super Bowl. You don't just go, oh, okay, I'm gonna go. No, you get your tickets and you go. I don't know when you and Eric pulled this out, but I assume you guys kind of had a general plan to get together at some point within the last few months. They waited, and apparently, because the ticket sales were so poor, only Shane wanted to go on with the shows because he didn't want his reputation trashed. But then again, Shane, your reputation being trashed is like Kim Kardashian's virginity. It's long gone, pal.
I wouldn't be surprised if that promotion was pretty much done. I can't fathom them going forward beyond this point. But
and by the way, James, I love you, and I hope when you listen to this, don't get too pissed at me. You were the guy that was, when Shane promoted this on this show, was saying, well, I think it will take off big time. I think it will be like the Rolling Stones going back out on tour.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not everything can work out, unfortunately, but,
yeah. Which once again just proves my point. ECW is dead. Let it stay dead. We can remember it fondly. Stop digging up the corpse and tying strings to it and trying to make it dance. It's not a puppet.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's you can't recapture that magic again, and we've had so many reunion shows and so many attempts to try and capitalize on that brand. We had the WWE completely bastardize the brand. We had TNA put on a really bad reunion show in Orlando, which is about the most un-ECW place I can possibly imagine to hold a reunion show. And they said, look, it's over. Can we just let it go? If you want to start a new wrestling company, fine, but try and carve a new identity. You can't rely on nostalgia, ECW nostalgia forever, especially since, if this had been the only ECW-esque thing in the last 12 years, it might have been okay. But the fact that it's the 500th, it's like nobody cares anymore because we've seen it.
Yeah, and it doesn't help that Shane very famously once declared, I am not the man that will take the torch from a company that died RIP 7 years ago. No, Shane's just the guy that will try to relight the torch after it was destroyed, broken apart, and watered down, 11 years after the fact.
Yeah.
Which I have my fun beating up on Shane Douglas because he makes it so easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with all that, you ready to talk about? Well, speaking of things that you want to beat up, are you ready to talk about WrestleMania?
I'm not ready to talk about WrestleMania, but much like having a badly destroyed tooth pulled or that poor kid who destroyed his leg in the NCAA tournament and has to undergo maximum amount of rehab, it's what I must do.
Okay.
Okay, let me say this. I don't want to make light of that kid's injury. I hope that he's okay, and I hope that he gets to play basketball again.
Actually, they're saying that he's going to make a full recovery.
Good. Well, Patrick, I actually hate to make a full 180 here, but I do think before we go on to WrestleMania, we should just acknowledge real quick the tragic death of Reid Flair. Of course, Ric Flair's youngest son was found dead in his hotel room. I want to say Saturday, or it might have been Sunday. I think it was Saturday. Reid, only 24 years old, passed away. There have been, James has talked about it, there have been numerous reports about Reed having drug problems, and I guess they found drugs in his hotel room. The cause of death is still considered unknown, but I'm going to use James' quote here. If you see a dead dog being carried out of a burning house, it's safe to assume he died in the fire.
Right, and, Reed Flair, unfortunately, you could see it a few years ago when news was breaking out about him and a lot of things he was being arrested for and such. He's another unfortunate, and I hate to sound like this, but he's another unfortunate statistic of the wrestling business where the party lifestyle and the hectic and crazy lifestyle of the wrestling business was just too much for him. And, Ric Flair himself, his famous dad, he's no saint. And we all know about the party lifestyle reputation of Ric Flair, but it sounded like Reed took it to a whole nother level and was messing with stuff that you don't want to mess with. And, drugs are not good. And if you get into that hard shit, it leads to some very bad and tragic consequences, unfortunately. So, my prayers and thoughts go out to the Ric Flair, to Ric Flair and his family. I know this is a very tough time for them and very hard to deal with a situation like this. But, I hope they get through this as well as they can, and hopefully it serves as a warning to all the other guys that get into the wrestling business and like, look, don't do that stuff. Bad for you.
Right, and I hate to say this, but it's a Triple H quote, which he said on the, here, I think it was the Triumph and Tragedy of World Class DVD. It's just another lesson, kids don't do drugs. And I feel bad for Rick, and I feel bad for his family. Reed has a sister, I think it's Ashley. Oh, he has two sisters. Rick had two kids in his first marriage, and then he had Reed and his youngest daughter in his second marriage. I feel bad for, all of them, and of course I feel bad for Reed's mother and any of his friends, and it's just, you just pray for the kid, and, you say he's in a better place, and legitimately we do send our condolences to Ric Flair. I'm sure is absolutely devastated right now.
Right, absolutely.
Okay, heavy stuff is over. Let's actually move on now to the WrestleMania 29 card, which, Patrick, sometimes they, and like UFC always used to put, titles under their shows, like Bad Blood or Redemption or Return of the Warriors. I think we need to title this WrestleMania 29 Part-Timers.
Oh, well, there are so many problems with this card, and the main problem overall is that, and I've described it, WrestleMania should be like the season finale. It should be like, all right, this is the culmination of the season, and this is what you've been building to. This has been your direction. And I'm looking over this card, and I'm thinking, if this was their plan back in January or December or even February, I'd be like, yeah, right. I mean, it's just not. And it really, to me, destroys the myth that, oh, Vince McMahon, he books from WrestleMania to WrestleMania. No, he doesn't. And this card shows it. I'm sorry. There's so much here that is just randomly thrown together.
Yeah.
And it's just a mess of a card.
Well, let's run it down match by match. And I think one thing that proves they don't book in advance is the Intercontinental Championship match will be the pre-show match, Wade Barrett versus The Miz. Now, remember at the beginning of the year when they were clearly building for a Bo Dallas Wade Barrett title match? Yeah, that went nowhere. They also had the Intercontinental Cup, which they canceled to push the Bo Dallas feud. That went nowhere. And now it's just, hey, The Miz is going to get a title shot.
Yeah, and apparently they're feuding over the movies that they had. What happened to his feud with Sheamus?
Yeah, well, Sheamus is feuding with the Shield again.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, they dropped that. I don't know. It's really, it's really weird. And has anybody had a bigger drop-off than Miz in a 2-year period? He literally goes from beating John Cena in the main event at WrestleMania, and 2 years later, he's on the pre-show.
Yeah. He now eclipses Bundy for the farthest drop in WrestleMania history. I know Bundy was the next year, but you know what? Bundy was still on the main card when he wrestled the midgets.
Right. Well, Bundy was out of the company by 4. I mean, if you go by 2-year drop-offs. It's like, well, Bunny was completely out of the company, but...
wrong again, Nick. He was gone. He was gone by 4.
Yeah, he was. I think he was. I'm pretty sure he was.
Yeah.
If he wasn't, he didn't have a spot on the card at 4. If he was still there, I don't think he was still there. But, but yeah, who cares about this match? I'm going to pick Miz to win the title just because they want to run with him as a babyface for whatever reason. But whatever.
Yeah, you know what? I almost expect Flair to be in his corner for this. Because they keep having him use the figure 4. There's got to be a payoff in that at some point.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. The whole mini Flair to me, and I've seen it done several times, it never works. I don't know why. That's one of those go-tos that they keep going back to. TNA did it as well with AJ Styles. I don't like the whole mini Flair thing. It just doesn't work.
Right. And you know what? Miz as this kind of babyface isn't working.
No,
I don't know how he would be as a different kind of babyface, but the way that they're portraying him right now, it just doesn't work. It's almost, this is a weird comparison, it almost feel like if you took Christian Bale, the actor, and you cast him as like a romantic poet, like that kind of role in a movie, it would just look stupid.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the Intercontinental title match. What's next on the card? The main card.
Well, the main card. We have, I guess what they've done, tons of funk and the worst possible pairing in the history of the world. Brodus Clay, and hey, remember when we tried this when he was the Hip Hop Hippo? When he was Albert? Tenzai. Along with the fucking
Big Show and Kane, whenever they have nothing to do with them, they just throw them together as a tag team. Well, Albert is like, all right, when we have nothing to do for you, you're going to be a dancer.
Yeah. Yeah, and then we have the fucking Axel, Cameron and Naomi. I don't know which one's which. They both suck. Taking on Road Stars, Cody Rhodes and Damian Sandow, who should be the tag team champions, who should be getting a major heel push, but they're not. And the returning Bella Twins because I must have pissed off God somehow, because that's the only explanation I can get for why they're back.
Oh, I'll give you an explanation. One of them's dating John Cena and the other one's dating Daniel Bryan. So they literally came back like a few weeks ago, and they have a spot on the Mania card, and none of the other girls do.
Yep. Yeah, so...
Yeah, that's worked out. But yeah, the only thing I'm looking for in this match is like, all right, if Damian Sandow doesn't cut a promo before this match, I'm going to be really upset, because that's the only reason I'm not using this match as a piss break. But, man, again, going into the whole they don't plan this stuff, Sandow and Cody, they broke up and then they weren't broken up, and then they just, I don't know, they kept going back and forth whether or not the team was split, and now they're just back together and acting like the split never happened. And, yeah.
Also, when the Bella Twins first came back, they were hinting that it was going to be a feud with Caitlyn. Because before they came back, they were doing a thing where the idea was Caitlyn had a crush on Cody. So, yeah, again, and then Caitlyn had a 1-week feud with AJ, which is now off.
Yeah, you'll probably see Caitlyn do a run-in during the tag title match or something. I don't know. It's, again, they're not mapping this out at all. They did not map this card out. He puts WrestleMania. No, he does not, and it shows. I'm sorry. It's stuff like this. And I'll pick Tons of Funk to win just because it'll be a comedy match, and they'll want the silly baby faces to win.
Well, you know what? I fully predict that Tons of Funk will win, and because Vince found it funny last year, Brodus' mama will come out with Mama Albert, and there'll be another dance.
Yeah, because it was so hilarious last year.
Yeah. We by the way, last year we couldn't give Daniel Bryan and Sheamus a minute, but we can find time for a bunch of dancing ladies.
Something that happens, and it just blows my mind. Like, WrestleMania 19, okay, the tag title match gets canceled, but you can make time for the Miller Lite Catfight Girls and a second Limp Bizkit performance.
Yeah. Of course, now Limp Bizkit and the Catfight Girls, you can buy 55 performances out of both of them for 55 cents.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah. All right, another match on the card is Chris Jericho versus Fandango. And I like the Fandango gimmick, but it is not a good idea to debut anyone in ring at WrestleMania. Look, you got to give them time to figure out their gimmick. You got to give them time to learn how to read the crowd with that gimmick. And also, you know what? Sometimes what you think is over just doesn't. You know what? And I like Fandango, but there are other guys who aren't on this card. Zack Ryder, Antonio Cesaro, just to name a few, that would be much, I think, deserve it more than he does. I said it about Jericho. Last year, he came back and he never kicked out of first gear when he was feuding with CM Punk. So what makes me think he's going to do it now when he's working with something? You know, a guy who's just debuting.
Well, again, I'm going to go on my rant about how they didn't plan any of this out. They brought Jericho back at the Royal Rumble. Excuse me. And it's like, all right, is he going to work with Ziggler? No. That got dropped. Oh, he's working with the Shield? No, that got dropped. Is he working with Barrett? No, that got dropped. And then he just kind of stumbled into this feud with Fandango. And I actually don't mind that this match is taking place. Had they started planning this match in January, I would be totally on board with it. And I'll be honest, I think this match is going to be the sleeper hit of the show, just because I think Jericho is going to do his best to make Fandango look really good, and they do want to get some benefits out of this character. And I really like the performer. I don't know how he is as a worker, but Fandango has my attention. Johnny Curtis, who plays the role, and I love his look. I love the way he talks. He is a very engaging character, and I hope they can go out there and have a good match, because I think they have potential to be the sleeper hit of the show.
Hey, here's my question. Have they named the girl that's with him yet?
No, they haven't.
I don't know. The thing is, and it will be a different girl each week, but so far it's been the same girl, so... Mm-hmm. Which, by the way, again, talking about how they don't plan this out, they did an angle one week where Fandango said that he wanted Naomi or Cameron, one of the fuckheads, and it was clearly hinting that they were building some type of storyline between he and Tons of Funk. And that got shot off after 1 week.
Yeah, well, I think the thought process there was evil dance gimmick versus good dance gimmick. So. Yeah.
All right. Another match on this card. Patrick, you're going to witness history. You will witness the absolute worst match in the history of WrestleMania, if not ever. Ryback versus Mark Henry.
I'll tell you what, if they go ahead and give these guys like 15 minutes, I will just I will just lose it, because there's no way that it's a good idea to have these two face each other in a long match. And if I were asked to book this match, here's what I would do. Okay, you want Ryback to do the shell shock. That's the whole purpose of this match. That's the only reason that they're doing this match, is so Ryback can hit the shell shock on somebody big. Okay. I would have them clobber each other for maybe 30 seconds, have Ryback hit the meat hook, or maybe have him kick out of the World's Strongest Slam, then have Ryback get up, hit the meat hook, and then shell shock him for the win, and have the whole match wrapped up in like a minute and a half. Tops.
Well, Patrick, that would make some sense. But from what I understand, these two are working fairly long, not extremely long, but they're working standard length matches on the road, which apparently is their rehearsal for WrestleMania. And by the way, they're not getting good reactions to the shock of no one except for WWE itself. I fully expect that this is going to go at least 10 minutes, and it's going to be ugly, and it's going to be... You know what? I remember on the Self-Destruction of the Ultimate Warrior DVD, they talked about the series of matches between Hercules and the Ultimate Warrior, and Ted DiBiase said, you know, I like Herc, and he was a lot more talented than the Warrior, but those matches were not that pretty. He said something like that. It's going to be one of those. Big power guy versus big power guy doesn't usually work.
Mm-hmm. Not unless you have really, really good chemistry, and I mean, let's face it, we're looking at a guy, Ryback, who his only good matches have been with guys that know how to bump. Guys like Ziggler, guys like Cesaro, guys like Punk. And Mark Henry, who, to be honest, he's terrible.
Yeah, Mark Henry, we basically have Mark Henry versus Mark Henry 2.0, this guy they signed and will never give up on now.
Right, and Henry, his best stuff is when he's just killing people. It's like, all right, dude can't work. Whenever he tries to work a long match, it sucks. So, squash matches. Like, his best matches are squash matches.
Yep. Ryback's going to go over. They'll try to make it seem like it was this. They'll try to make it seem like this was a huge, big, epic moment. It won't be that, and
I hope Ryback can get him up in the shell shock.
Yeah. But, we saw Ryback trying to do that with Ken Knight. It didn't work.
Yeah.
All right. Next on the card is the tag team title match. Team Hell No, Daniel Bryan and Kane versus Dolph Ziggler and Big E Langston, who's absolutely horrible. Is going to make his debut. The good news is at least Ziggler
work.
Yeah. At least Ziggler's going to be there to cover for him. And AJ Lee is going to be there. I expect the heel for the tag belts for whatever that's worth.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I don't really care, but I was asking you, have you ever seen Big E Langston actually work a match?
Yes, I did. I was watching NXT. He's basically he's Rye Black.
Rye Black. Okay. Yeah, that's kind of what I thought. He's the goofiest looking dude, too. He looks like, I'm sorry, like, his facial expressions are stupid, his ring attire is stupid, and he has jiggling man tits. It's mesmerizing. It's like, dude, he's got tits to jiggle. And he's got the worst finisher I've ever seen.
Yeah, he does.
He looks like he's giving himself an inverted DDT.
It does. It does, and he's not good, and he just plain sucks, and God. Next year it's going to be Big E Langston versus Ryback at WrestleMania.
Yay!
Yeah, I guess our only hope is potentially Ziggler will finally cash in Money in the Bank, but I'm not counting on it.
What's happening at Mania? I mean, why else keep the Money in the Bank on him going into the show if he wasn't going to cash in?
Well, you would say that, but this is the WWE.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, so anyway, also on this card, the six-man tag, Sheamus, Randy Orton, and Big Show versus The Shield, Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns. Of course, originally it was going to be Ryback, which would make sense because he has the most history with The Shield.
Well, it's not even just that. It's like, okay, last month they worked with Sheamus, Cena, and Sheamus, and now they're doing this six-man tag that feels like a huge step down. I'm like, really? This was their plan with The Shield? This is the best they could come up with?
Yeah, I mean, they didn't have a plan. That's unfortunate because I think The Shield has a lot of potential.
Shield's awesome. I can listen to Dean Ambrose talk all day.
Yeah, and I think Seth Rollins has a ton of potential. And you know what? I've even backed up on Roman Reigns because he's starting to win me over.
Mm-hmm.
He's good. He's good in his role as the big, powerful guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
and because this match, I hope The Shield goes over because if they lose this match, that would just be anticlimactic.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think they won't come out with baby faces at Mania. I think, they win. The only chance that The Shield wins, and then this will kill off any rub The Shield could get from it, would be Orton turns heel and RKO's his partners.
Mm-hmm.
And then the thing will make a big deal out of it. Yep. Yeah, which unfortunately it looks like I think that's what they'll probably do. So Shield will go over, but the story will be Orton turned heel.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. Which, by the way, Patrick, I just gotta say this. Isn't it kind of strange that whenever the Shield makes their entrance, Ambrose and Rollins are always together, yet Reigns is alone?
Well, he is BO.
I honestly think what it is they just don't like him. Like, they're talking about good old days on the Indies and, you know, and NXT together, you know, but then, you know, I was like, hey guys, where are we going to come out of? Section 42B. Thanks. Thanks guys, I'll see you over there. Alright, let's go to 42C right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so, and like I said, I am starting to like Roman Reigns. I hated that guy when he first debuted, but he's winning me over a little bit. And now I guess we come to the big portion of the card, which, you know, matches I'm probably going to hate the most. So let's start with The Undertaker versus CM Punk with Paul Heyman. First off, I've made it clear I want the streak to end. I feel like you almost owe it to Punk after the way you fucked up his title reign, never made him a big deal. But that won't happen, and let me just say this. I wish they just would have gone with whatever they had planned before Paul Bearer died.
Did they have a plan? I don't know. It felt like that they just sort of cooked this up as they went along. The problem with Undertaker matches at WrestleMania is that it's just a foregone conclusion that he's going to win. And we all know that Taker's going to win this match. I knew Taker was going to win this match the second they signed it. It's like, all right, yeah, Taker wins. And I'm not at all convinced that Punk has a chance of ending the streak, especially with all the Paul Bearer stuff that they're doing. That just makes it even more obvious that Punk's not going to win. And, I mean, if it were up to me, Punk would go over and you'd build a lot of heat from that and run from there and try and do something, but that's just not going to happen. The only good thing I'm looking forward to is that I think the New York, New Jersey crowd is going to be really more pro-Punk than the WWE is typically accustomed to when it comes to The Undertaker.
Well, we'll see. The problem with that, though, could also be, you know, Taker, his attitude, it could be, well, you know, hell, that son of a bitch went out there and sabotaged the whole match by, you know, being over. Yeah, I've talked about Taker, his ego. This is the guy who once upon a time made Punk drop the belt because Punk didn't dress nice enough for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, and look, I'm sorry, Taker looks horrible now. I mean, he looks out of shape, and I know that he's older, but that's all the more reason that he shouldn't be wrestling anymore. The magic's gone, you know, and it's going to take him an hour. It's going to be the show is 4 hours. It's going to take Undertaker an hour to get to the ring.
He does not look good. I'm looking at him, it's like, God, you're bald and fat and wow, what happened to you, man?
Well, you know, you would think, you know, having a year off and not doing anything, he might, you know, get to a gym and really kind of get in shape for that one match, but I guess that was too much trouble. I guess he had, like, UFC shows to go to.
Yeah. But yeah, 21-0, that'll be your thing. The only one I see ending the streak at this point is John Cena.
Well, you know, that is, if Taker is willing to drop it to anyone, it would be Cena. Probably because Vince will make him do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alright, well anyway, then we have the other match on the card. Brock Lesnar with Paul Heyman versus Triple H with Shawn Michaels, apparently. I guess I missed that a lot. In a no-holds-barred, of course, Triple H comes out of retirement and will wrestle a must-retire-if-you-lose match.
Did he retire twice last year?
I think, you know what, Triple H is making a run at Terry Funk's record.
It's like he wants that retirement pop, man. It's really weird. So because he's putting his career on the line, I don't know who's going to win this match. Is Triple H going to get his win back, or is he going to try again and get the emotional WrestleMania retirement, which he already got last year?
I honestly think that when he's truly ready to retire, it's going to be him winning the title, and it will be one of those things, win, lose, or draw, I retire. so he can retire as champion. I think he's so getting his win back here. I'm starting to an MMA rules match so he can get his win back over a UFC champion and claim he beat him in an MMA fight.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I was not a fan of their last match with at SummerSlam, which they called it the Epic Storm, was more of a mild drizzle.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was the most impressive match.
Here we go again, and I'm sure this will probably get, a lot of time because Triple H will want a lot of time, and we're going to see the sledgehammer, and we're going to see all this other stuff, and who cares? I really just don't care anymore.
Yeah, and it's a shame because, again, going to the whole part-timers thing, you're thinking, okay, because this is one match that they did plan in advance. I'm fully confident that they said, all right, Survivor, okay, SummerSlam, boom, we're doing we're doing Triple H and Brock. And I'm thinking, all right, Brock's a part-time guy. Don't you want to use him for something a little bit more significant than just a rematch?
You would think that, but, this is never underestimate Triple H's ego.
I guess. It's like, who really wanted to see this match again?
Yeah, so the same thing about the main event, but before we get to there, we have got Alberto Del Rio with Ricardo Rodriguez versus Jack Swagger with Mushmouth Mantel, Zeb Coulter. Nobody cares.
No. No, and I've never cared about Jack Swagger, to be perfectly honest, so it doesn't really matter what they do with him. All I can say here is that Ziggler's going to cash in and win the title. That's what you should look out for here. But other than that, Del Rio's going to go over because of the whole DUI incident. I don't see Swagger walking out of Mania with the belt. If he does win the match, Ziggler's going to beat him for the title right afterwards. So,
yeah,
no matter what happens in this match, Ziggler's cash-in is going to offset it.
Yep. I don't care about Del Rio. I've always said I thought Swagger had potential, but they have so poorly booked him, and Mushmouth isn't helping. And I really want to ask people, when was Dutch Mantel a star? When was he over? I've seen footage of him wrestling and working. I don't know why people think why all these people are like, oh, that's that good old-fashioned old-school heat Mantel's bringing. No, it's much more, hey, that's Iron Man, and that's it. You're horrible. You are fucking horrible.
I like him as a manager. I don't mind him personally. It's just,
it's not a personal issue either, but he's a horrible performer. He was never a good wrestler. He was never a good he sure is not a good mouthpiece.
Yeah, I mean, Swagger's not a good mouthpiece for himself. I'd rather have Dutch Mantel talk for Swagger than have Swagger talk for himself.
Well, what about Heyman? Well, you know what? They were apparently talking to Jim Mitchell.
I mean, I'll have Heyman. I can listen to Heyman talk for 2 hours straight. He's the shit.
Yeah. Or you know what? They were talking about bringing in Jim Mitchell. That would be great. Because I agree, Swagger needs help with the interviews. But you know what? Giving him a guy, he's already had one manager that's worse than him, and Vicky Guerrero. He doesn't need another one.
Yeah. So whatever the case is, Nick and I don't like this match.
Yeah. And then finally we have the main event. The match that was once in a lifetime last year, and it's twice in a lifetime now.
And it'll be twice in a lifetime when they do the third one.
Yeah, and oh man, it's I need this more than anything. Basically, John Cena blamed every bad thing that happened to him within the last year on The Rock, even though it makes no goddamn sense. I mean, especially because, you know what, despite the way they tried to play it, Cena was still John Cena. He was still the top guy. He still made it better in most of the shows. And his losses and things last year were more on guys like Big Show who cheated to beat him, or, the Johnny Ace fucking thing with his Big Show interfered. I mean, hell, basically, they even are basically alluding to the fact saying that The Rock cost John Cena his marriage because Cena couldn't get over his loss.
Yeah, it's, and the only thing they can do with this match that would even be remotely interesting, because, all right, we already got the match last year, and it was fun. It was good. I enjoyed it. Not one of my favorites, but fine. It was a solid enough match. I didn't need to see this again, and the only way that they can really make this work is if they turn Cena heel, but I don't think they're going to do it.
They will never turn Cena heel. There have been so many times where it could have made sense. And you know what? Even back in the day when Stone Cold Steve Austin was the top guy in the world, they said, okay, we're going to try turning him heel. It didn't work, and we can talk about for hours why it didn't work for various reasons, but they at least tried. And they're never going to do it with John Cena. It's very similar to the same way they're never going to give up on Mark Henry, because this man doesn't want to admit that he's wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's bad times.
Yeah, I didn't give a damn about this match last year, so why am I going to care now?
Well, Cena's got to get his win back, and he's got to get that redemption.
Oh, joy. That's just what I want to see. John Cena get his win
It's
back.
like, okay, if Cena's going to win, then turn him heel so we have, like, a story point that you can carry on for another year or something. It's like, don't do this, Cena overcomes, quote-unquote, overcomes the odds and he wins again, because it's like, all right, we've seen that 18 billion times. It's like, all right, fine, he beats The Rock. Who cares?
Yeah.
I mean, nobody above the age of 10 is going to be happy with that result, so, all right.
Nope. Nobody's going to be happy about it. So, I mean, we know what's going to happen. Cena's going to win, and next year they'll have the third and the big blow-off to the epic feud that isn't as epic as people want to pretend it is.
Oh, okay, no. Next year, the main event, it's going to be Cena and Undertaker.
You know what, maybe, but I'm willing to put money on it's going to be a third Rock Cena match.
I know that they're going to do the third Rock Cena match at either SummerSlam or Extreme Rules.
Oh, yeah, because it's always such a good idea to rebook the WrestleMania card at Extreme Rules. Which is what
they always do.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
It's like a quota. You have to have at least 3 WrestleMania rematches at the next pay-per-view.
Yeah, and even though matches are really good, the reason they were good is because, they were special about WrestleMania. Don't rehash them the next month.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, WrestleMania 29. I'm going to be going there, and I'm sure it's going to be a fun experience. I'm looking forward to it. I'm counting on the crowd kind of being a bunch of snarky assholes, so that'll make it even better. But it just kind of sucks that the year I'm going, they clearly put no thought into this card. Like last year's show, okay, say what you want about last year's show. Like, all right, I feel like they had planned this out at least a few months in advance, and they built to this point. This show, they just threw this together a couple weeks ago.
Honestly, I feel like the majority of the card they just drew out of a hat. It was like, oh fuck, it's almost here. We gotta do something. They got all the names of the roster. They put them in a hat. Like, okay, the Bears wins and Road Scholars, and they're gonna take on Tons of Funk. Okay.
Yeah, that'll work.
Yeah. Well, I really don't think there's anything else for us to talk about, Patrick. Hopefully we'll be back next week to review this card, talk about any other things that come up in wrestling. I have told James I would love to get Stevie Richards back on the show just to have him talk about Maddingate.
Yeah, well, maybe we can get James to do that. But, yeah, I hope you all enjoy WrestleMania weekend. There's going to be a lot of wrestling material over the course of the weekend from Ring of Honor shows. TNA's having a show. I think Shikara's having a show. There's going to be a lot of stuff, and there's, of course, WrestleMania itself, WrestleMania Access. There's the Hall of Fame. So there's a lot of stuff to keep up on WrestleMania weekend. I hope everybody, whether you're in the area or not, that you have fun, enjoy yourself. It's kind of you know, it's the Christmas season for wrestling fans in a lot of ways. So hopefully you all have fun this weekend. And, yeah, we'll be back next week to talk about WrestleMania 29 and the fallout and how it all turned out. So until then, for everyone here at WrestlingEpicenter.com, I'm saying have fun for WrestleMania, and we will be back next week.